Hi everyone, my name is Josephine Talmadge. I am currently an operating room nurse. I graduated nursing school in 2016 and went straight into the operating room. I'm going to apologize in advance. I have made a few notes to kind of keep me on track with the questions that our professor has asked us to answer. Our group had decided to do the NC HB 789 End of Life Option Act of 2017. This bill, looking at it, was a real eye-opener for me. In the operating room, of course, I usually only get to see my patients one time. It's for a short period of time. A lot of patients will have maybe breast cancer. They're looking for a tumor. They're going to test it and see what's going on. Unfortunately, I never know what happens at the end or what the end results are, what the nurses are dealing with on the floor, pain levels, patients going through chemo. So this bill was a real eye-opener for me, and I'm glad to have taken part in doing some research at it. This bill will allow patients and their providers the ability to make their choice, end-of-life choices, what the patient wants, without penalty to the provider. Also, I know a big thing is it being an aid in dying drug and not to be considered suicide. In looking at a lot of the research, when you put that suicide in there, it just sounds barbaric. And it's not the case. This situation in patients that are sick and terminally ill and they have no other option compared just suicide, that just happening, a perfectly healthy patient. So I don't think that it is a good idea that they associate suicide with this and what these patients are wanting to do. Our group, Group 4, we were all in agreement of wanting this bill to be passed. We all had some great ideas and why it should be. A lot of us had talked about, main thing is giving that patient the right to choose what they wanted to do for their end-of-life choices, if they wanted to continue treatment or if they did not. And especially if they are suffering and all other options have been exhausted, giving them that choice. With talking about not wanting the bill to be passed, and honestly, it's very hard sometimes to look outside that box. If you're for something, strongly for it, and looking at options, why maybe some people may not be for this bill. Well, a lot of us had agreed, and some of us were talking about palliative care. Do patients really understand what palliative care is, what it entails, what does it offer? A lot of education needs to be done. And I know for me, which was a big deal, and I automatically thought people would be against this bill for religious reasons. God should choose when we're not going to be in this world anymore. But surprisingly, the number one reason was insurance and money. Well, I would have never thought that route, but of course, everything in this world has to deal with money. But all those increased costs that it's costing the hospital, the physician, outstanding medical bills. And this would decrease cost for insurance companies. Crazy. But this bill is currently being seen at the House and has been referred to the House Rules and Operations Committee. I am currently for this bill being passed. I believe that patients should make decisions about their care. Patients that are terminally ill, they're moving to states like Washington, Oregon, California, places that have already passed this bill. Finally, I think, looking at a nursing perspective, you are a patient's advocate. I think it is a big deal that you can advocate this for your patient. Giving them that option. What if a patient comes to you and they want to give up? There's just nothing for them and they're suffering. This gives the nurse an opportunity for a different discussion, different referral that they can offer their patients. I think, this bill should move forward, that more research needs to be done, especially in states where it's already approved. What is their rate? How is it working for them? I think, why should patients that are sick or terminally ill or suffering, why do they have to travel? They are not in the stages where they need to be traveling to different states, especially, thinking about Washington or California, getting on a plane, sitting in a car for hours to travel. They should have the opportunity for it to be offered here in their own state. I think that more education, especially the physicians, it needs to be done. I think a lot of them will not agree for this bill because they're afraid that their license is in jeopardy. But this bill, if it was passed, it is not the case. And I think maybe not every physician, maybe it could be like a specialty. Maybe if certain physicians are for it, then they could be the ones that are participating in it. I think that the public needs to be educated, having them write to their, family members that have patients that are dying and that are sick, or maybe the ones that have, what we could do better for them, being involved in government, writing to their governor, writing to their senator. And I think a big thing that I had read in a lot of the research is them calling this physician-assisted suicide. And I think even for me agreeing with the bill, looking at that, that sounds barbaric. And it is not the case. It is not a physician-assisted suicide. I think the wording needs to be changed a little bit, but with being called the End of Life Act is a little bit better. But I'm just saying, a lot of the research had called it that, and I think it would deter people from even wanting to participate. I think that a patient should choose the when, the where, the how, a peaceful way, a comforting way, and the family members, having everything in order, knowing when it's going to take place, planning it. It just gives the patient more control. And I really hope that this bill gets passed, gets looked at. I appreciate y'all watching my video. I was extremely nervous, and I hope y'all liked it. And I look forward to learning so much in this class, especially with legislative, which is a big deal, especially for us nurses. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day.